Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 1991 Toyota Mark II. Up front is a 2.0 liter inline 6 and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. So as you'll notice, I am on the wrong side of the car. This car actually wasn't originally sold here in the US, but somehow it found its way here. Now, we did actually get something very similar to this, and you might be looking at it and saying, hey, that kind of looks like a Toyota Cressida of the same era. Well, it pretty much is that, with a couple differences, of course, but realistically, it's just a Toyota Cressida. But let's get back to the drivetrain. Well, up front is a 2.0 liter straight six. It is naturally aspirated, it is not helped out by turbochargers or anything of the sort, and its engine designation is the 1GFE. However, this car actually came with a bunch of different options from the factory. You could have gotten a 1.8 liter inline 4, a 2.4 liter turbo diesel. You could have gotten this with the 7M engine out of the Toyota Supra, the Mark III, or you could have gotten this with a twin turbo 1JZ. Or even you could get this with a supercharged 1G, the same engine, but supercharged. That's really interesting. They came with so many different options, and really the Toyota Mark II was very pliable to any sort of situation. Is it super luxurious? No. Is it super sporty? No. But it's a little bit of everything, and I really like that. I'm gonna do a pull here. I'm not expecting a whole lot, but we'll try it. No, this ain't it, Chief. This ain't it. But it is smooth. I give it that. This car is very smooth. Like I said, paired to it is an automatic transmission. You know, it works. It's not great. And the automatic was the only option for it. There actually wasn't a manual option for the Mark II, unfortunately. However, people do tend to manual swap these, and we'll talk about that at the end of the video. Last but not least, the Mark II is rear-wheel drive, which is absolutely awesome. So let's talk about the interior now. Well, in front of me, I have very basic Toyota gauges. On the far left is my fuel, then I have the speedometer, then I have my tachometer and coolant temperature on the right. Everything I need is right there. It's very clean, it's very easy to see, and I like that a lot. On the steering wheel, I actually don't have any buttons, but it does say Mark II. And it's this sort of brown. This whole interior has this sort of very nice plush brown color, and I really like that. To the right of me, I do have power folding mirrors as well as my mirror adjusters, and of course on the door I have my power locks and power windows. Moving into the center, I have two vents with little adjustments to the right of them, as well as a digital clock. I really like that. Very clean, simple, and easy to read there. Then I have my radio options, interestingly enough, up top, because the radio is actually a lot further down on the actual center console, which is interesting. The radio buttons aren't really next to it, but that's okay. I have volume, tape, FM, AM, seek, and preset. And no, these buttons were not switched out. Actually, from Japan, they came with English on them. It's very common to find Japanese cars, JDM domestic cars, with English actually written on them. Down below that, we do have our climate control options, which, as I just turned on the air conditioning, which is the R12 system, it is so cold, so cold. Also, on the climate controls, I do have a button for opening and closing the climate controls. This is a first for me. I have never seen a vehicle that allows you to open and close the climate controls, but I guess you could do that here in the Mark II. Down below that, that's where you would normally find the radio. This, of course, has had one switched out because we can't actually get Japanese frequencies here in the US. So most JDM cars you import, the radio is pretty much useless because you can't get any of the channels. So it's been switched out with a modern American unit. Then I have my ashtrays, cigarette lighter, of course, things like that, and cup holders that pop out of the dash. The shifter's fine. It's the same out of everything from every Toyota from this era. I mean, the Toyota Crowns that I've reviewed, Toyota Chaser, they all have the same shifter. And then I have a very large center console that I actually quite pleasantly enjoy. The seats are very comfortable. They're this sort of cloth that seems to have been lost since the 90s. I don't know what it is, but 90s cars always do it more comfortably. They just feel great. I love the feeling of them. And overall, it's very comfortable. The seats are manual, however, there is a power lumbar support adjustment on the center console, so that is pretty nice. Now, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's do a backseat review. Oh, I lost my hat. Yeah, see, oh wow. The back seats are not great. Headroom, I'm kind of hitting the top. The seats are comfortable, like the seats themselves are comfortable, but like this is my driving position and it's really coming in on me. Not a lot of leg room. They're not very comfortable back here. I expected a little bit more. I kind of thought that this would be a very comfortable VIP-ish car, but the back space is definitely lacking for sure. But what can you do? One interesting quirk I just learned about after filming the exteriors and interiors and stuff is it has a reverse beeper. Doesn't do it once, doesn't do it twice, keeps doing it. I'm sorry, is this a truck? Is this a semi? Is this an 18-wheeler? That's a little obnoxious. Now we gotta talk about the looks. Now, this car is owned by my good friend Nick, and he has done a little bit of work to it. Wheels, front lips, side skirts, things like that. These side skirts are actually off of a 5 Series BMW, if you can believe that. But overall, I think it looks absolutely great, and I love how understated it really is. This doesn't shout at you. You know, people are driving by me in traffic and not really giving me a second look. It's very sublime. It's very under the radar. And I really like that in a car. I think this is sort of a stealth wealth sort of scenario where actually these aren't actually that expensive here in the US, but it's sort of a stealth coolness, I guess, a stealth enthusiast maybe. I don't know. It's not until people look into your car and see that you're on the wrong side that people really start to notice what it is. But I think the Mark II is really, really cool. It's really unique, especially here in the US, and I like how applicable it is. With all the different engines offered, this thing can be whatever you really want it to be. Right now, this is Nick's daily driver. It's a great daily driver. It's nice, it's comfortable, it's quiet, stock exhaust, so it's nice and quiet. I love that. But it is rear-wheel drive, and you could get it with a twin turbo. This could be a little performance sedan. Slap a manual transmission into it and people drift these cars and they actually compete really, really well. Or put some bigger dampers on it, put some curtains in the back, and boom, you have a budget VIP car. I love how pliable this car is. It can be what you want it to be. It's a very busy street, but I had to point out these door handles and doors are so solid. I mean, even the back ones. And so, this car really lives on in the secondhand market as an enthusiast car. Slap a manual transmission into it, or even leave it automatic, rev up those twin turbos, and have a great time. But this specific Mark II is just such a great daily driver. I absolutely love it. And I think this car is really, really good. Especially for the price. You can find these for under $10,000. Something so unique and different. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want one of these? And so thank you, Nick, for letting me take out your Toyota Mark II. This thing is really, really fun. And it's so unique, so different, and I'm glad I got the experience.